And welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I am your host, WIZE, and I'm very excited. My next guest, she's well. Let's just get her on the show. We'll let her talk, explain about what she does. But she's an author, and she teaches people how to self-publish their books. So I'm excited to have her on. Welcome, Michele DeFilippo.
Thank you so much, Will. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, thank you for being a guest. This is a topic that I love because actually, where is it? Let's see. Hold. A couple of years ago, my nephew and I self-published his book, and it was a lot of work, but we did it. We got it done, and it's something we're very proud of. It's so I love the fact that you self-publish books, but let's get into it. What inspired you to start 1106 Design and focus on self-publishing?
Oh, gosh. Well, I've been in the industry since 1972, so I have a lot of experience in the publishing industry in one form or another. And around 2001, I noticed that self-publishing was beginning to take off, and it was representing a whole new opportunity for authors to publish their works without having to get the permission or the approval of a publisher. And so my skills lined up with that, and I just decided to form 1106 Design and see what would happen.
What's the benefits of self-publishing your book compared to going to a major publishing house?
Well, the main benefit is that it's much easier to self-publish a book yourself rather than try to get accepted by a major publisher. They are very selective about who they take on, of course, and it's very difficult to get a major publisher to accept your book. So self-publishing, when it first came out around 2001, broke down that barrier for the first time in history. All of a sudden, because Amazon existed, it was possible for authors not only to self-publish a book, but to get it distributed to the public without having to go through a publisher at all. In the past, before Amazon, you couldn't get your book distributed to a publisher, to the public, I should say. You could print a book, you could publish a book, but you couldn't really get it in front of the public in any meaningful way. So Amazon changed all that, and suddenly it was possible to not have to go through a publisher. So that was great. The original intent of self-publishing was that the author would be the publisher, and they would be responsible for hiring the experts to produce a quality book, and then completely assume the role of the publisher in every respect. And then the idea was that they wouldn't have to work for a lesser amount of money called a royalty because they were the publisher. They had paid the expenses to produce the book, and they would get all the money when a book was sold. So that went on for a few years, but then the field started to get pretty complicated, and now we have publishers again in the mix. And they've really kind of mixed up what self-publishing is supposed to be. A traditional publisher would never charge you to produce the book. They would take care of all of that expense. So now we have publishers, quote unquote, that are charging the author to produce the book, and they're also taking revenue on the back end when a book is sold, which isn't very advantageous to the author. Self-publishing is supposed to mean that you make the investment to produce the book and you get all of the revenue when a book is sold. So now it's gotten all mixed up, and I just want to remind people that there is true self-publishing still available, and that they don't have to work with any middleman publisher, whether they call themselves hybrid publishers or self-publishing companies, whatever they call themselves, they are not necessary.
We all we really did was work with someone for them to help us make sure that it was written with like mistake, like where can we rewrite things and work things out. But for the most part, we self-published the book. We got all we designed the cover. We designed everything that's going to go inside the book, and we put it on Amazon. We also put it on on Apple, and for us it was we didn't we ordered what we wanted to order, as many books as we wanted to hand out to give out to people and all that, and for the most part is print as you go.
Right, print on demand, and that's great. As long as your Amazon account is and print on demand accounts are set up in your name and with your ISBN number, then you've done everything correctly. That's really the issue that I talk about the most, is that you shouldn't lose control of your book. Authors need expert help for editing and design
Yes.
and formatting and all of that, but they don't need to give control of their book to any middleman any longer. And that's the message that's kind of got lost in all the noise.
And I actually have I have a few more ISBN numbers, so we are planning on self publishing some more books. We've actually self published 3 books already,
Good.
and so we've eventually I'm gonna write a book and focus on telling my story and everything. So it's but being able to help him and see him do it, and it just inspired me and let me know, man. And he's not, and he'll tell you he's not a writer. He's not a professional writer. He's just something. He was in jail, and he was right, and he had a lot of time on his hand, and, and he just started writing about what he what he was going through in prison, and what the things he changed about himself, so that when he came out a better person, and it's a
Good.
pretty good book. And so it just, when he was like, "Y'all want to get this done," I was like, "Let's do this. Let's work on it." We spent the money we spent to hire someone to look over the book and help us with editing, and of course all this other stuff. But we're the ones who put it out.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear you did it the right way, because so many people, it's overwhelming if you're trying to self-publish the first time, right? And so a lot of people just they choose the wrong person to help them, basically. And a lot of these companies have gone out of business. They've disappeared with the author's files, and it's really just a very ugly situation now. So
Yeah.
I just want to educate authors and let them know that it is possible to produce a top quality book with the help of a team of experts. That's what we do. And so that you can keep control of it, and then you can earn the maximum amount of money possible when that book sells.
What are some common misconceptions authors have about self publishing?
Oh gosh, well, if you go online, you're going to hear a lot about do it yourself publishing. You'll see authors designing their own cover and formatting their own pages, but and I suppose that's fine if publishing is your hobby and you don't expect to sell many books, it's for your own enjoyment. That level is fine, but it's not the level that you would get if you hire experienced book cover designers and book editors and book typesetters to do the job, and that's the level we work at.
Okay, so you're basically helping them get the book covers, edit whatever information they have to edit in their book, but basically they're still self publishing their book.
Correct. And that's why it's easy to work with us, because I've got the team assembled to walk the author through everything, all the way from manuscript right up until we help them upload the files to Amazon and Ingram Spark, which is the other major POD, print
Mhm.
on demand printer. So we walk them through it, so they don't have to do it alone. They don't have to feel overwhelmed. They don't have to worry that they may not be doing something correctly. And so that's I guess you could call us an author services company. We're not a publisher per se, and we don't take any of the revenue from the author when a book is sold. We charge for our services, as we must,
Of
but
course.
we don't take any revenue from sales once the book sells, because the sales are going the reports are going directly to the author's own print on demand accounts. The author gets the report, the author gets the deposits to their bank account, never to ours first. So it just works better on both sides, I think.
Yeah, no, of course, you should get paid for your services, and it's a great thing that and there's some people, like you said, that have taken advantage of this. They've disappeared with books or money or whatever it is. So people need to be careful who they trust their manuscripts with, and who to trust who's helping them self publish these books.
Right. I can give you two quick hints about how to perhaps recognize the people who are not working in your best interest if you're an author, and that is the use of the word royalty and the promise of a free ISBN. If you see those two words, you're probably working with an intermediate publisher who's going to publish the book under their name and keep part of your revenue when the book is sold.
Yeah, no, that was
Yeah.
one thing. That's one thing my nephew, he says, because he had already self published his first book, and he was like, yo, he's like, we're gonna get our ISBN numbers and all, and we purchased probably like 10 of them, so we've only used four,
Mhm.
so we still have another six still left, and so whenever we're ready to publish more books, we'll have our ISBN numbers.
Yep. Well, the way Bowker works is they sell single ISBNs for $125, or you can get a block of 10 ISBNs for
Yes,
$295. So it makes perfect sense to buy the 10 because you need a different ISBN for each format
but
of your book.
yeah.
So if you release a hardcover, a softcover, an ebook, and an audiobook, you've already used 4 ISBNs out of the 10.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. So, what are some of the so obviously the author can retain more revenue by choosing self-publishing over traditional publishing because of they've invested more money in themselves compared to traditional publishing where the company has invested all the money, and so of course they're going to get paid first.
Well, correct, and that's a fair business model because they made the investment and they deserve a return
Mhm.
on that investment, right? And
Absolutely.
and and so there's no real problem with that, but the problem is in the middle ground there where these newfangled publishing companies are charging the author to produce the book and also taking some of the revenue from sales. So authors should ask themselves, if I'm paying you to produce the book and you have no investment whatsoever in my book, why are you sharing my profits? So that's
Absolutely.
really the question to ask.
So can you walk us through a typical self-publishing timeline with 1106 Design?
Sure. If you sign up with us for a full package, which starts with editing, the typical timeline is 3 to 4 months, depending on the length of the book and the complexity of the book. And that's because we collaborate with you at every stage, and you have an opportunity to review everything, make comments, make changes, request rework of cover designs, for example, and interior design. So typically it takes 3 to 4 months.
Okay. So what are the biggest challenges authors face when self-publishing, and how can they overcome them?
Well, I guess from what I hear from my authors, they find the biggest challenge to be the marketing. Right? It's great to have the team to walk you through all of the production steps, but then the real work starts because you have to figure out who your audience is and how you're going to reach them online. And to be truthful, the author should really think about that a little bit before they even start writing the book. Make sure there's an audience for your book. Try to identify a burning problem out there, that a lot of people are experiencing. And if you have the answer to that problem, then you write the book for the audience instead of the other way around, instead of writing the book first and hoping there's an audience. So, that would be one way to get around it. Marketing, excuse me, can be expensive. It's hard to do for any length of time for a self-publisher. So the way we get around that is we offer some do-it-yourself marketing resources that give the authors the research that they need, and then they would do the implementation. They would do the marketing themselves, and we can train them to do the marketing themselves if they like. And that kind of gets over the problem of the expense of having a marketing firm do everything for you. But, some authors don't want to do any of that. They're introverts. They can't imagine going around talking about themselves or their book. So in that case, we will introduce them to 3 marketing people that we trust with our life and who will talk to them and won't take their book on unless they think they can deliver results.
So, how important is cover design and interior layout in the self publishing process?
Oh gosh, if you think about how you browse for books on Amazon, the
Mhm.
cover design is critical, right? And most people look at the cover for somewhere between 3 and 7 seconds. And so the cover design has one job, and that's to make people stop and say to themselves, "Gee, that looks interesting. Let me learn more." And that's the role of the cover design. Now, when you tell people about your book and you tell them it's available on Amazon, Amazon isn't only going to show your book, it's going to show the best-selling books that are similar. So your cover as a self-published author has to stand out. It has to look as well crafted and well put together as the books by the major publishers. Otherwise, it'll stand out for all the wrong reasons, right? People will look at it and they'll say, "Oh, that book looks self-published. It looks a little risky to me. I think I'm going to go with the more well-known author." So, in order to avoid that, you need a great cover design that's put together by an experienced cover designer who knows how to make it look like a major publisher did it. And
Okay.
the same is true of typesetting. You hear all the time now about authors formatting their own book pages in Word. But having done it for 50 years now, I can tell you that a book typesetter approaches the job in an entirely different way. There's much more to it than picking a font and setting the margins. There's all kinds of adjustments that we make to the spacing, the line spacing, the letter spacing, all kinds of rules to follow to make a book look like a book. And if you take a word processed book and you hold it next to a book at a bookstore from a major publisher, you will see the difference in the typesetting for yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Um. What? So again, we're going to go back to distribution and everything. How do you help? How does your company help authors with distribution? Do you help them set up their ISBN numbers and everything?
Yes, we can get ISBN numbers for authors at a 15% discount.
Mhm.
We have a promo code for that with Bowker, but I always encourage the authors to buy ISBNs in their own name.
Okay.
And Bowker is the only source in the United States. Every country
Yep.
has one ISBN agency. So be aware if you find some listing online for cheap ISBNs, that's really risky. Don't do it. Stick with Bowker. And we also help the author set up their print on demand accounts at kdp.com and ingramspark.com. And
Mhm.
by using both of those platforms together, you will get the widest distribution at the lowest cost because Amazon feeds Amazon platforms, KDP feeds Amazon platforms worldwide for a 40% wholesale discount. And that means that Amazon takes 40% of the cover price that you determine. So that's great, but and that's where 80% of your sales are going to come from, Amazon. But there's another 20% of the market from physical bookstores, libraries, other distributors, other retailers like Barnes and Noble and Target and Walmart and so forth. And to reach those buyers, you need to use ingramspark.com. And they allow you to set whatever discount you want. You can set a 40% discount at Ingram Spark if you want to, but you would effectively be cutting out all of those um, the libraries, the other distributors, and the physical bookstores if you do that. So the recommended discount at Ingram Spark is 55%. So
Okay.
yeah. So by using both of those platforms together, you'll get 80% of your sales at a 40% discount and the other 20% of your sales at a 55% discount. So you get the widest distribution at the lowest possible cost.
Okay. Awesome. So, can you also discuss the importance of editing in self-publishing? I know it's very important to make sure that editing is done correctly.
Yeah, most of the time, authors will come to me and they'll say, "I really don't need much editing. I've worked on this book for 1, 2, 5, 10 years, and it's just about as perfect as can be." And then they see what an editor does, and they kind of are always surprised at the things that an editor finds, because and that's perfectly normal, because we don't see the mistakes we make in our own writing. It looks perfect to us because we've been doing it and we've been reading that book 100 times, so we don't see our own mistakes, the things we're not seeing. So that's where the fresh eyes of an editor comes in. An editor will find the things you missed, like did you repeat yourself, or did you explain yourself as clearly as you could have? That requires a fresh pair of eyes, and so that's the main benefit of an editor.
So, what advice would you give to a first time author considering self publishing?
Well, I would say know what you're publishing for, right? So
Okay.
you could say there's two tracks you could follow in publishing. One is the personal track. Maybe you're doing the book for your own personal gratification or as a hobby. You don't intend to sell the book or make any effort to sell the book. It's only for yourself and your friends and your family. For that purpose, you could cut corners a little bit. You could, not necessarily buy the top level of services and just get the book out, because that's all you want to do is get the book out and you don't care about money. But if you follow the other track in publishing, like say you're publishing for a business, or you're a consultant and you want to sell books to potential customers and so forth, then the bar is higher. If you're asking people to turn over their hard-earned money for your book, then you owe them a good product. You owe them a better product, and you're doing this for your own self-interest, because if you don't give them a good product, the first thing they're going to do is get mad and post a bad review. So you don't want to go down that road, because you can't
Yeah.
get rid of bad reviews once somebody posts them.
So,
Yeah.
so as well as making sure the book is properly edited and everything, what marketing strategies do you recommend for self published authors? Like, that's why is it better for them to work with a company like yours, because they don't, especially if that's something I should ask, because even with podcasting, marketing is very important, and I'm not a marketer. I'm still working on that, and learning how to promote and build my brand. Is it the same kind of similar for an author as well?
I think it's similar for any business, right? Every business wants to get the word out that they exist and that they do a good job, and it's really hard. It's a never-ending task, right? But I like to say that the first step in marketing is making sure you have a good product, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of the business. I don't care if you're baking bread or you're releasing a book. You got to have a good product out there, because people are spending their hard-earned money for it, and they're going to
Yes.
get mad if you don't do that. So if you think of marketing, probably rule number one is to find your audience. And fortunately, it's possible to do that pretty easily now. There's tools and training available. One of our products is author marketing training that teaches you how to market yourself online, how to find your audience, how to make sure that you're not wasting your time broadcasting to people who will never be interested in your book. So if you can focus to that degree, like nonfiction books, pretty easy to find the audience, right? You have a topic already that you're an expert in, and you can find other people who are looking for advice on that topic. Fiction is a little harder, but maybe, for example, you've written a science fiction book. It's pretty easy to find science fiction fans, and even for other genres, it's pretty easy to drill down and find the type of reader that you wrote the book for. Um, so there's tools that we could show you how to use, and marketing companies can also use these same tools to research your audience, so that whatever you do, whether you're on social media or you're podcasting or you're doing direct mail or whatever method you're using to market your book, you're speaking to people who are likely to buy it and not just wasting your time.
So, do you? Because I know I kind of know the answer to this, but do you advise people who are publishing their books to do podcasts or
Um,
find the right podcast that fits what your book is about?
well, to be honest with you, I'm sort of new at podcasting myself. I only started doing this in January, and
Hmm.
I had thought about it for a long time, but I didn't know where to start. It's like, okay, so people are podcasting. How do I find somebody who might be interested?
Interested in yeah,
Yeah, and then someone told me about Podmatch, which is where we
we
connected.
connected. Yes.
And that's been the greatest thing since sliced bread. I don't have to find them. Podmatch finds them for me.
Oh yeah, no. I've that was as a beginning when I started podcasting. That was one of the hardest things was to find my guests,
Yeah.
and then I started using Podmatch and a couple of other ones, but Podmatch is the one I really use. I really do use for connecting with my guests, and it's amazing. I've had since I started really using Podmatch, I've had some wonderful guests. I've had some wonderful conversations. It's actually helped my podcast grow
Yeah.
because now I have a steady flow of consistent guests that are in what I want to talk about, or in topics, or just because to me, I thought this would be a great conversation because there's coaches and all these people that want to write books, and why not have someone come on and show you that maybe self-publishing might be the way you want to go or whatever it is. So it was important for me, and being the fact that we've already self-published a couple of books. To me, it was important to have someone like you come on and discuss the topic because people think is they. I'm not saying it's easy to self-publish a book because it's not,
No.
but it's it's beneficial if you learn the steps to doing it and not having to go through a publishing house because now again you're investing your money in yourself and you want to make sure that you put out the best product possible.
Correct. And I would say, it's when that manuscript is finally done, I understand that authors are, want to uh, now they want to move forward. They may have taken years to write the manuscript, but now it's go go go. But the old adage still applies. If someone's making you a promise that sounds too good to be true, it probably is it probably is too good to be true. Don't fall for the sales pitches you're going to get. um, the serious people are going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you it's expensive to do it the right way, and it's going to take time, and it's going to take effort. And so if anyone is telling you that the price is cheap or you don't have to participate, I would say run. Especially if they tell you they're going to give you a free ISBN or pay you a royalty. That's usually a bad sign.
Yeah, yeah. um excuse me. So what are some success stories from authors you've worked with?
Oh gosh, well, the people who write business books are the ones who do the best, right?
Okay.
They because well, they usually business people from the outset understand that it takes time and money to produce a good level book, and they're busy themselves, and they don't have the time to try to learn to do everything themselves just to save the money. So they come to us with that expectation to begin with, and they think of a book, which is what it is, a good way to tell customers about your expertise, about your business in a non-threatening, non-pressure way, right? So if you think about how you browse the internet, how everyone browses the internet, you might approach a company and you might be sort of interested, but you kind of hold back a little. You're not ready to talk to a salesperson just yet. So if there's a downloadable book on their website, or even a small booklet like mine, which I didn't get to yet. I have a free book for anybody who wants it. It's called Publish Like the Pros, and you can download it for free on my website, 1106 Design. But that can get you lots of business. It has gotten me lots of business because people can learn about you without having to engage just yet if they're not comfortable engaging. So, professionals, business people, doctors, lawyers, coaches, consultants, speakers. It's a great way to introduce yourself to people. Yeah. So those are the of all the authors we work with, those are the folks who do the best. They're the ones that come back time after time to for more books or new editions of the same book and so forth.
Awesome. So what trends do you see in the self-publishing industry right now?
Oh gosh, I don't have a crystal ball. All I could, the only promise I can make is it's gonna continue to keep changing because that's all it's been doing for the last 20 years, right? I've been through 3 generations of ebook devices, right? And when ebooks first came out, all 3 times, everyone said ebooks were going to replace print books. That hasn't happened. Print books are still selling as well as ebooks. Now we have audiobooks on the market. They're selling like hotcakes. I think people are going to pick whatever format they like best.
Yeah.
And so the wise publisher releases the book in all formats or as many formats as they can to capture every member of the audience that they can.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's the next format is audio for the book. Is he actually wants me to read it. So
yeah, there's self narration and then there's also professional narration. That's a personal decision. I don't know what AI is going to do to publishing. I'm a little bit frightened of it, to be honest with you. You're hearing things already about AI written books and AI narrated books. I don't know where that's going to end up.
um like I use AI for certain things as far as my podcast goes. Um but the majority of the work I do it myself. Like AI can do but so much. You have to make sure you put in the proper information, and because sometimes it messes up, sometimes it does mess up. You look at some of the things, but for me, it's helped me get more organized
Mm-hmm.
as far as how I structure my show and everything. Um, Other than that, I don't really use it for like when I release my audio podcast, it's already done. So all AI is doing is taking the information from the audio podcast and put it into a description, put it into a blog. Um, it's already content that I've already created.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it helps in with things that I don't have. Like I don't have time to sit down and write the blog. I don't have time to go and look at and listen to the whole episode over and over and over and take out clips that I'd be like, okay, this might go viral or this clip might draw more attention to. AI helps me with that. And
Mm-hmm.
It's helped me with time,
Mm-hmm.
which is something very precious because we don't get that back. So it's helped me with not having to spend as much time in the process of doing the show. So now I can focus on other things. I can do other things that I probably wouldn't be able to focus on because I would probably be busy editing the episode or clipping, listening to the episode over and over again, trying to find out what clips were great, what golden nuggets that person said or whatever it was. AI makes it easier.
Well, you said a critical thing a moment ago, and that is that it's not always correct, and you have to be able to recognize when it does
Mhm.
something that's not correct,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
hopefully we will always have a role to play, and AI can just be a tool,
And
maybe
that's what, yeah,
to get us there, just like a calculator, right? We
mhm,
all use calculators, but you have to be able to recognize when you've hit the wrong key and something
exactly.
doesn't look right. So perhaps it will settle down to be just a tool, right? But right now, there seems to be so much in
Okay, you have people, yes, who use it the wrong way.
yeah,
Um, but you have a lot of more honest people who do it, who are using it for the proper way, using it as what it is a tool.
right.
Where yes, you have people who have um created songs and but and kind of, and do I agree with this? No, I don't. People should not. People should, if you're gonna be creative, create something of your own. Like,
Yeah,
and I understand you feel like you might not be talented, but you use the tool properly, and not use it whereas you're stealing people's likenesses and stealing
yeah.
their voices to so that you can earn a buck.
Exactly, exactly. And I guess it's true with anything. Any tool can be misused,
Mhm.
used for good purposes or used for bad purposes.
Yes.
It's human. Much of human nature, unfortunately, is very tempting to just do things the quick and easy way and make money fast, right? But
Yeah.
I do hope that we keep our brains about us when using AI, because it's hard to imagine a world without real, genuine human creativity, whether it's writing or music or poetry or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What happens when the machine takes over and decides we're no longer necessary?
Terminated. That's what happens.
Yeah. No, but, it's the down and dirty, quick and dirty approach that you see in
Yeah.
every industry, right? It's always, I think that I forget the exact words now, but there was an old saying that there's always the person that's gonna make something a little worse and sell it a little cheaper, but that's not the way to go about it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Um. But now we'll come to the part of the show where you actually get to plug away, show everybody the book, where they can get your book that you have right there, and where they can find you. So let's give you the solo layout.
Okay, well, thank you. My website is 1106design.com. And if you go there, you can get a free PDF copy of my book, Published Like the Pros. And it's a quick read. It's only 88 pages, and it'll give you an overview of the industry and an overview of the financial things that I talked about a minute ago, so that you can recognize when you're not being given the best possible deal by other providers. And so we'd love to help you. If you're ready for a consultation, there's a button there to request a consultation and give us a few details about yourself and your book. And even if you're not ready for a consultation, you can always contact us and just ask questions, and we're very happy to help you.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for being a guest. I appreciate you stopping by and sharing your knowledge on self publishing. This is something, like I said, this is something I I, I I've found that people need to learn about because it's something that me personally I've learned about with my nephew taking the steps that we took, and I just thought it was just an amazing ride for us, and it was a great experience for us.
It is. It's a wonderful experience to take your innermost thoughts and put them in book form and share them with the world. Yeah. So,
Yeah, so
but like I said, I just don't want people to get ripped off or sign up with some company that's going to run off with their rights and their money, and so much of that is happening now that I just felt compelled to start doing podcasting and try to get the word out some other way.
no, it's important that it's important that you're out here showing people that, hey, listen, there are people out there trying to swindle you and scam you. Let me show you how to do this the right way,
Right.
we need more people like that.
Yeah.
We
And
need more people.
there are good companies and bad companies. I don't want
Yeah,
to paint
that's what
paint them
every
all
yes.
with the
You're
same
absolutely right.
brush, right?
You're
But
absolutely right. There's
you just got
companies
to
out
be
there.
unfortunately, you have to be careful. You have to be very careful.
You have to do your due diligence. You have to really do the research and
Mhm.
find and work. And for the most part, if you're aligned, you usually attract the right people, and you usually end up working with the people that you're supposed to work with. Like with my nephew, we were blessed to link up with someone who she helped us through the whole process. She wasn't about just taking all the money from us, and she helped us a lot. She spent hours with us talking about the book, and it was well worth it. And um, we were blessed and lucky enough to have someone to show us to be able to show us the way.
Oh, and I'm glad you said that actually, because I just thought of another red flag, and that is don't fall for high pressure tactics because some of these companies will pressure authors. We ran into one about 2 weeks ago where they told the author they'd sent a proposal and they said you have to accept this proposal by Tuesday at 5 p.m. or else it's gonna expire. Don't work with anybody who pressures you. There's no cause for that. There's no reason for that. Your book is important. You put your heart and soul into it. You deserve to work with somebody who lets you take your time and make a good decision.
Absolutely, yes, definitely. Thank you so much. But don't leave just yet. Let me close out the show. I'd like to chat with you a little bit off the air, and but it was wonderful having you on as a guest.
Thank you for having me, Will.
My pleasure, my pleasure. But let me close out the show. All right, all right, everybody. Another great show in the books. Shout out to Michele DeFilippo for coming through and sharing her knowledge and helping people out there who are interested in self publishing their book. Definitely reach out to her. It will benefit you to it will most definitely benefit you to have someone with her experience help guide you through this process. Big shout out to my Real Wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Shout out to the boss lady. Love you and appreciate you. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless you. Be safe. You know your boy Wise does it. Peace out.